Look what money has done to you. Look what money has done to us. I'm dead because of you.
No, you're alive.
Yeah.
You're just a torso and head. You're alive.
I'm still dead because of you. What do I do with a torso and a head?
You go boing, 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 boing.
Now, what am I, Larry the Cucumber from VeggieTales?
Yes.
Pretty much. How's it going, Larry?
I don't remember that.
Watching your reaction as you're listening to that, you're like, what? What is going on? That's from when that was from a little while ago before we had camp, when I was talking about one of my dreams where Aaron destroyed the world in the most Aaron way possible, and how that monster like ripped all your limbs off.
Oh. Okay. I'm like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
And then when I was Larry the Cucumber, I was like, oh, I still don't remember this.
Normally when someone goes, I don't remember this. Oh, you imagine them saying, oh, I remember this, but
I mean, I the Larry the Cucumber, that stuck right out, but I just don't remember when I said that or where I said it.
You said it that one time.
Yeah, that one time at that one place.
Just
in that one episode.
In that one episode. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that one article of clothing.
Article?
Well, I'm glad you were wearing clothes.
That one outfit. With the one
birthday
set
suit.
of headphones, the one microphone in front of the one computer, in front of the one and only Aaron Johnson, next to the one and only Paul Diamant.
Wow. I gave him so much credit for this past week, and then look at this. Look what happens. I even released a bonus episode this week just featuring Josh.
And special.
And look what happens. Immediately, 5 seconds in, we're already tangent land with Josh. Thanks, Josh.
I mean, nobody can fill my tangent place.
I'm sure there's a 5-year-old out there somewhere that can do it just as well as you.
We'll get one of my nephews in here.
There we go.
We'll get all 4.
There's only 3.
You sure there's not another one coming?
Stop. You might want to tell Aaron's sister about that first. As well as her husband.
Unless the dog counts as a nephew, no.
Well, I mean, some people treat their dogs like kids.
It's family.
I mean, I love my dog, but it's not my kid. Okay? I draw the line there. What? You want to argue that with me?
Yeah.
I freely admit, I love my dog. I have insurance for my dog. I pay for the stupid thing's injury. A lot. Yes, I will agree. I do that. But
it's about as expensive as I am. Just kidding.
No.
You're not that expensive.
What?
Would you like to show them the bills for your various injuries and accidents?
Excuse me, what?
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of accidents, I'm still healing up from Wednesday. That was...
Don't run into I-beams, kids.
Yeah,
it hurts.
Don't run to I-beams. You may think you fractured something. And then don't get me to get calls from your mother afterwards saying there's a rodent in her house.
Baby squirrel.
Yeah, Aaron went with me to go collect said baby squirrel from my mother's house. And, well...
It was cute.
That was a special night.
How'd the thing get in?
Don't know.
It was a jumpy little sucker.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'd definitely be prepared for another call then.
Yeah, but I mean, at least I could use my hand most of the way.
Yeah, then I don't have to go and cause
I couldn't
a
even
commotion.
like open my hand up. It was bad. But,
so if I like grab your arm,
you're just
why are you trying to hurt me right now?
That was totally something he would do when you or I would be hurt.
Yeah.
I'm just returning the favor. I'm not doing it. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You're right.
Fair enough.
We all have a little bit of Schadenfreude in us. So
yeah, that's true.
Do we?
Yes. You, especially, Aaron.
Wow. Making me look like the bad guy here.
I know. Wow. Speaking of the bad guy, the government has, or not the government, but YouTube has been labeled as the bad guy. YouTube and Vox this past week. I don't know if YouTube have been keeping up with that. The Vox adpocalypse and all that's been going on with Steven Crowder and the Vox. Can't think of the guy's name. Crowder.
Oh, now we're about to get demonetized.
Oh, we're not even monetized to begin with, so we're okay.
Sick.
Yeah, so that conversation we had last week was ahead of the curve, right in time before all of this happened.
Mm.
You know, about should government control social media and censor it a little bit? Should it regulate it some and all that? And because that conversation has been heating up way more online this past week. So,
see, whenever you say Vox, I always think of guitar amps.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it's not. No, they're like an online news organization.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I feel like. Why do I feel like? I don't know. I feel like we've been or visited Vox in high school for whatever reason.
like the location.
No,
Or just
for,
like a
class?
website or something for classes.
probably
Oh,
have.
you probably have. You probably have. That wouldn't surprise me. They used to be a lot more credible than they are now. Now they're just kind of seen as a attack dog type of
That's annoying.
website. The guy's name is Maza. That's
Maza.
Yeah, Carlos Maza. He's a Vox quote unquote journalist.
I like
So-
Carlos Santana more.
Of course. So yeah, so that whole thing has been going on this past week. So that's what I say. That's what I was giving Josh a little compliment before we start recording. I was like, "Oh yeah, Josh, you're a little ahead of the curve this week." And he's like, "What? What's that mean? I don't get it." I'm like, "Pay attention to the news, kid."
Good one.
Speaking of paying attention to the news, there was something else that also has been in the news recently. What?
I already know this is going.
Here's Eric's word of the week.
So something else has hit the news recently that's been interesting to watch, and it's because this word has caused Twitch and YouTube streamers to be banned.
Okay.
The word itself is not bad, but it's quote unquote too similar to another word.
Okay.
The word, and if you play Skyrim, Mr. Johnson, once in a while, this is an enemy in Skyrim. So that's why I said earlier, I was like, you will probably know this word, and you're like, well, I don't talk to the townspeople. I don't sit there to play, to talk. I play to kill.
Yes.
Well, you kill this enemy in Skyrim and almost any other RPG.
Alduin.
No,
Oh.
I said
Yeah.
almost any other
Yeah,
RPG.
yeah.
A Naga.
What?
A Naga?
Yeah.
What?
Come on.
I've never heard this
What
word.
is Naga? I've never heard of it either.
A Naga?
A Naga, yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Inaugural? What?
Inauguration.
it's a noun.
Naga. Bruh. Who's an Naga in Skyrim?
It's an enemy.
What is I don't know. It's the definition is someone I killed in Skyrim.
There's definitely they might not call them exactly quote unquote Nagas, but they're definitely in there. They're just under.
What's the similar words?
Let's see if I give you similar words.
I have no idea.
How do you spell it? Let's do this. How do you spell it?
Naga.
Naga?
Yeah.
Okay, what?
I love in Skyrim. They're related to the Argonians.
Oh.
The related?
Mm-hmm.
Because those are like the lizard people, aren't they?
Okay. Yep.
Yep,
I
yep.
said they're related. So what?
Now
Are
you got me thinking of the conspiracy theory of there's lizard people in the world. What the heck?
Let me give you another hint, but this probably won't work for you.
Oh, probably not.
They're originally from Hindu mythology.
Oh gosh, no.
See, like I said,
What did you find?
No,
John?
I'm reading it
just
right
take
here.
just take a guess on what
Gosh.
they are.
It's a relative of the Argonian.
Okay,
people.
but what? Okay, so Argonians are reptiles. What sort of
Yes.
reptiles are the Nagas part of? Just
What sort of reptiles are they a part of?
yeah.
Oh man. Are they crocodiles? Are they alligators? Are they?
Is that your answer? Crocodile,
Yup.
or alligator, something like
Sending it.
that?
What is
So
a naga?
Nagas are a member of a class of mythical, semi-divine beings that are half human and half cobra.
Dark. You should have said Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah,
The
true.
snake people.
Dark Souls 2, yeah.
Are they called Nagas in there?
No.
So what about this word is causing people to become banned?
What word is it
Yeah.
close to?
Don't, no.
What?
Seriously?
Seriously.
No
Seriously?
way.
Seriously. That's why.
What? That's not even that close.
But apparently, whatever filter or whatever is picking it up is picking up and banning people. And where that's people. And now here's in my head. This is honestly what my head's thinking. My head is thinking it's probably uninformed people about what the word Naga is, reporting it, saying it's racial.
Oh my.
That's what my head wants to say, but I don't know all the facts beyond that. Other than I started seeing this pop up on the news yesterday that people were being banned because of that word appearing like in their Twitch stream. So
Where is that word being used in?
well, what game just came out?
Sekiro?
No, it's actually a release of a very old game, a re-release.
A re-release of an old game. Like, how recent did it come out?
Like it just came out this month. World of Warcraft Classic Mode.
Oh,
So World of Warcraft with no expansion packs. They just released that. Blizzard, at this point, you really can't play like the old classic World of Warcraft because a bunch of stuff has been patched. Even if you only had the base game, so much stuff has been patched. It's no longer like the game it was when it first came out.
okay.
This is like classic like it was before they released any expansion packs. And one of the enemies is a Naga. And so it's a big thing on Twitch right now being streamed.
Oh my
Is
goodness.
World of Warcraft Classic Mode.
Huh. That's exciting.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, Aaron probably knows this word.
Nope.
So
That's bless you.
Thank you.
that's why I was like, this one will be simple because I'm sure Aaron will know what a Naga is.
No. Speaking of which, though, once you brought up World of Warcraft, I have to go to RuneScape.
Why?
Are you gonna start playing RuneScape right now?
No, I'm about to. I've been subscribed to that for a while now.
And you got to cancel your subscription?
Yeah.
When's the last time you played it?
Months.
Oh no.
No, probably more than that.
What's the subscription?
It can be $10 a month, or it's like I don't know. At least when I did it, is that I know it was like $70 a year, or it was like $30 for 3 months or so, like that. I don't know.
So $10 a month, 70 for a year.
70 for a year is a lot better,
Yeah, it is. You only pay for 7 to the 12 months.
but I didn't want to spend that much at once.
Aaron wanted to talk about a topic.
Okay. Yes.
Do you want me to edit that part out that you want to talk about a topic?
No, I don't care. You could go on.
And that topic is a wonderful, happy, fun-going one.
Absolutely.
Full of dark skies and black dreams. Full of rain, dreariness, and dread and funerals. Cremated bodies, bones. Aaron wants to talk about the death penalty.
Wow. That was a sad picture.
Really making Slipknot show his.
What? Don't drag them into this. They had nothing to do with
I
it.
say, where did Slipknot come in from? this?
Yeah.
Death penalty!
Yay.
Sounds so much fun. Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I get, okay, how do I say this? I get the arguments both for and against it. And I get the Christianity ones of for and against it. In fact, was it the current Pope, whatever his name is? I don't keep track of the Pope name. The current Pope in the year 2019, he just amended Catholic teachings saying that the death penalty is never okay. Before this, it was, yes, death penalty is okay. Now it's no, death penalty, not okay. So that I found that something interesting. But regardless of the fact, death penalty outside the United States in what they call quote unquote Western countries. I think there's one other Western country that allows it. Then there's only a handful of Eastern and Middle Eastern countries. Outside of that, pretty much everyone else has said nope to, death penalty, capital punishment sort of deal. And I'm not talking about like via electrocution, via drug injection, via. I think those are the only two methods. I don't think they do in front of a firing squad anymore. That used to be olden day.
Oh,
Now it's either electrocution, but I think it's the most popular is lethal injection.
yeah, injection.
There have been reports of it's supposed to be an injection, but for some reason it had the process has been botched and other means were taken. I didn't see what it said by other means. It just said that the process was botched.
Well, I've heard of that happening. But what has been mostly in the news recently is where the drug that they need has been not available, and so some states were trying to like use drugs that they use for euthanizing animals, and they were trying to get legal approval for that. So let me ask this, Mr. Brewer. What are you what are your thoughts on
The
this?
death penalty?
Death penalty, yep.
That's I guess it's one of those where I wouldn't use it until a last resort, because I would want to give people second chances.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask this: what would qualify as a last resort, in your opinion?
Or you've given somebody multiple chances to redeem themselves, but they still choose not to. And I mean, it says in the Bible, I can find that verse here. Whoever sheds the blood of a man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image. I guess if somebody doesn't choose to change their ways, and generally if somebody is, on the path to the death penalty, they would have been in prison for quite a long time. So if they don't show any signs of changing, then obviously this person is clearly not safe to be released back into society. That would be like a last resort. I would rather give second, third chances than just say, that's it, pull the plug. That's because I don't know. It's just one of those where if I was in their situation, now granted, a lot of people who are in the situation who have been put on the death penalty they're mentally not normal. I've never been in that situation. So why would I have the right to tell them that they are worthy of the death penalty if there's something in their brain that is just messed up and they can't control it? But since they're in prison, the government's not going to, put thousands and thousands of dollars to try to help this person come back to it. They'd rather just kill them off. Because I know there have been studies looked into if criminal behavior in the broad spectrum is something that is hardwired DNA.
Right.
So if someone mentally is really screwed up and they are hardwired for criminal acts, it's kind of like somebody who struggles with depression. Not saying the same spectrum. You have something about you, Paul, that you cannot control without other means. Maybe these people who are that crazy cannot control something about them without other means. And like I was saying, they're in prison, so the government's not going to submit thousands and thousands, tens and $20,000s of dollars, just to study them, to understand how the brain works. They might do that into one spec, but I can't imagine they're going to turn around and try to save the person and say, all right, hey, everybody, just so this person has killed 20 people. We're going to release him back into society. We've done the test. Yeah, he's fine. They're not going to do that. So that's where it's like, the Bible does say it in one spot, I shouldn't say one spot. It says in multiple spots where killing an innocent man or killing somebody is wrong outside of the means of war.
Yep.
But at the same time, in the Bible, it also shows that God has a lot of grace and mercy for people. For example, what's the name of him? Where the one king of Israel saw the lady on the roof bathing.
David.
Okay. He saw that's Potiphar's wife. No. What's the Bathsheba? Bathsheba. Thank you. Yeah, you saw Bathsheba.
Yeah.
And in the Bible, it even talks about how a man should be death should come upon a man who has committed adultery. But yet God had spared David for both committing adultery and committing murder. So it's, I mean, there's, and that's just not the only one. If I can find the ones that I saved, I could tell you more about them. I'm not seeing them right now.
So
But
there's
Thank
plenty
goodness
of
we don't do that anymore in America. We'd be
Right.
like down to like 1 million people.
Yeah, say there's a bunch in the Old Testament, Exodus, Leviticus, about kidnapping, bestiality, adultery,
Yep.
false prophet, prostitution, rape. I mean, yeah, there's got a few right here.
no, yes. But now, obviously, you also have the Christian views where the Old Testament doesn't rule anymore, and
No.
some people say the Old Testament and the New Testament rule,
Yep.
unless it had been directly crossed out in the New Testament. But even in the Old Testament, it was something that was very prevalent. David, for example, was spared from it. So we are, in the Christian view, in the Christian eyes, we are hardwired for sin. We easily walk into it. We easily think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you also add to the level of, since sin has entered this world, we all have broken bodies, and our bodies aren't meant to be made perfect again. In your case, Paul, it is depression. In my case, it is hearing loss, and in Aaron, it's Aaron. It's one of those
Okay.
things where it's like, yeah, I don't want to necessarily, I wouldn't want to take someone's life without knowing more and trying to give them more chances.
Well, it's not like we're giving lethal injection for someone who sped 5 miles over the speed limit.
no, I know.
You know,
Ooh.
you know,
They deserve to be taken off.
that's not
Aaron,
What
you'd
we're-
be gone a long time ago.
well. Yeah, you know, like this one here. This is one of the older people. He was recently executed in, was it Alabama? Alabama, I want to say. Okay, sorry. He assassinated a federal judge with a pipe bomb.
Oh.
You know, he also what he did. He also killed a black civil rights attorney in Savannah, Georgia, with another explosion. He also mailed bombs that were defused to the 11th Circuit Court's headquarters in Atlanta, the Jacksonville, Georgia office of Wiley Dennis of the NAACP. You know, so I mean,
Sounds like a nice guy.
it's not like we're giving this to people who are just sitting there and, you know, they accidentally maybe it was unintentional homicide where maybe they, you know, were speeding and they didn't see the person, they weren't drinking or anything, and they hit the person. You know, it was not intentional. You know, now there might be
There's-
cases where they will have done that, but you know, for the
Yeah.
most part, they're not doing that sort of thing. And also, this guy was convicted back in, was it 89? So, oh, I'm sorry, he was sentenced to death in 97. He was just killed in 2018. So he's had a little bit of time
Wow.
to fight this out in court as well. It's not like we're saying you are sentenced to death in 97 and it happened a week later. It's been
Been a
21
long
years.
time. Hey,
Go on.
I guess depending on how severe the crime is why would there be such a long, drawn out
A long
thing
wait. Yeah.
to have someone put down?
You know why there's that long wait?
There's
appeals.
other people in line?
No, appeals. Regardless of what your crime is, even especially for death row and that, you are permitted to appeal as far as you can.
Yeah.
You know, you can appeal to Supreme Court, you know, so you keep appealing up and up and up until you're denied all the way up to Supreme Court. And then the last ditch effort, you can appeal to like the governor for a stay of execution or for pardon from execution.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's part of the reason why it just takes forever. And also, you don't want to no one likes just killing people, regardless of what the narrative out there is.
So I wouldn't say no one.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Most normal people do not like just killing people.
Now, this is just something that popped into my head because of,
Okay.
you know, you said, you know, he's made pipe bombs and normal people don't like just killing people, but obviously people who kill people like killing people.
Right.
Instead of, I mean, in a sense, it would almost be sending someone to someone's death, but if we're spending now, this is just came into my head. I haven't filtered this thought yet. If we're spending thousands and thousands and years to allow somebody to stay somewhere, and we're planning on putting them, or they're going to get the death penalty,
Right?
why not just put them on the front lines? If they had this thing for killing people, put them in war.
What if they start killing our people?
Yeah.
Well, that's why you let them go out first.
Well, and that's why you don't do that, is because if someone, if it's a bomb person like this Walter Moody, he doesn't look exactly the type to be able to do a war.
Mm,
He looks like the type where he can build a bomb and
that's all
nail
I
it,
can
and
do.
that's about it. Okay.
Not
There's that.
physically.
And then if you're putting them on the front line, why would you put someone who has nothing to lose, doesn't care what's going to happen? Because if they come back to the U.S., they're going to be killed or put in jail for life. If they go to the enemy or whatever, they're going to get killed or whatever. They're just going to create chaos. And that's how you cause a war to be lost.
Like I said, it was a filter. I just shouted out there. Just curious what you
Yeah.
guys were going to think.
Or you will find the ones who'll be like, I'm going to go join the enemy.
All right, cool.
So, yeah.
It's a lot simpler just putting them down.
Wow. That sounds horrible. I know.
Man,
I wish-
But no, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying, though.
And I've met people who are like, well, we're spending so much on our political system to keep people who, are going to be spending a life in prison. They're going to die in prison. Why don't you just put them down?
Well, I was reading stuff about where people are saying that's more expensive to have them go through the death penalty for the expense of whatever it is that they do to them. But then I've also seen stuff where it says that, having them stay in prison for life is also more expensive. So it's like, okay, well then what's what?
What's what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, depending on where you get that information from,
It's going to be different.
it's going to be different
which is
because,
annoying.
yeah, and the reason that's going to be different, and let's be honest here, there's going to be, what you call it?
A bias?
Yeah, the bias. That's what I was looking for. Because if it's a organization that says we do not want death penalty, guess what they're going to say? Death penalty is way more expensive than life in prison. If
Mhm.
it's a place that says,
Because one of the things I was reading was is saying many opponents present as a fact that cost of death penalty is so expensive, at least $2 million per case ? That we must choose life without parole at a cost of $1 million for 50 years.
Wow.
But
But now what about
I'm
all the-
not done yet,
Okay,
Josh.
sorry,
I'm
sorry.
kidding. I'm just. It says these pronouncements may be entirely false. JFA estimates that life without prison cases can cost 1.2 million to 3.6 million more than equivalent death penalty cases. So I don't know.
yeah, and also so I'm looking at Death Penalty Information Center. Is that where you're at by chance, or are you somewhere else? Where you at?
I'm at deathpenalty.procon.org.
Okay. Yeah, this is deathpenaltyinfo.org.
Okay.
So
That was.
Oh, I'm looking at that too. The 50 facts.
no.
No. Oh.
I'm looking at financial facts about the death penalty. And they actually break it down per state in this case.
Oh, that's nice.
So
That's nice.
what's
Then
nice
this is-
about this, so it's deathpenaltyinfo.org/cost-death-penalty. Now, what they're doing here is they're actually reporting independent studies on each state. So they're looking at Oklahoma in the first one. So they're saying in Oklahoma, they did an independent study on what it costs to do impose the death penalty in there. And they say who commissioned this study, even though it's quote unquote independent. So in this case, it was commissioned by the Oklahoma Death Penalty Review Commission. Okay. And they found that seeking the death penalty in Oklahoma incurs significantly more time, effort, and cost on average as compared to when the death penalty is not sought in first degree murders. So what they're saying is that on average, Oklahoma cases cost 3.2 times more than non-capital cases where they sought the death penalty. So
Okay.
now, that being said, that was only reviewing 15 studies. So
Ugh.
Okay. Now, what
Yeah.
they said, now when they brought this down to money, they're saying it costs approximately $700,000 more than to seek the death penalty than not seek the death penalty. And then it said like they spend on average 324 more days in prison or jail than their non-death penalty counterparts.
So
You know, that's
what-
just in Oklahoma. That we're not talking. There's other
Yeah.
states. If you want to read through that, that's great.
Yeah.
And at different states have different costs and different studies for their particular area.
Mm-hmm. I want to know what part makes it so expensive
What of the
for the death penalty.
well, depending on what they've done, they may need to be kept separate from the general population. That's one part of it. Also, the fact that they're probably going to be, I don't know, probably using lawyers, which are going to be provided for them if they don't have the funds for it. You know, because
Yeah.
everyone, regardless of who you are, rich, poor, black, white, Latino,
Yeah.
Asian, can't read, can read, whatever. If you cannot afford a lawyer, the judicial system here in America says you
Provides.
are provided one. And so
Mhm.
if someone is going to be saying, hey, you know what, I'm not guilty, and they're continuously appealing it, well, that's going to cost that lawyer some money.
Mhm.
So that's what's happening there.
So I wonder how much, depending on which way they go, how much the actual execution costs. I wouldn't imagine that much.
Well, probably the drugs are probably going to be more expensive.
Why don't they just make it something more simple and cheap?
Well, what would be the alternative?
A gunshot.
Yeah,
They haven't done those in years.
I know, but that's so much.
I think it puts
Cheaper.
more. I don't know. What would be the difference between a gun and a drug? They're both putting someone to death. So
Here's the big difference, okay? And Josh, if you'd like to experience this, I'm sure we could simulate this for you.
Oh boy, I like simulations.
A gunshot is not going to kill you instantly. It's going to be painful, especially if it doesn't hit especially if it hits a non-vital organ as compared to, a necessary vital organ that cuts off all pain. So if it doesn't shatter your spine, you're going to be feeling that pain pretty good from that gunshot. You're going to bleed out. And
What about right between the eyes
there's still a possibility that you could live for a little bit of time.
with the 50 cal?
Oh my! Okay, now that's an expensive round.
Yeah, I know.
Still cheaper. The only thing is you got to pay to clean it up.
Which.
So,
Wow.
So there
Yeah.
is pros and cons to
no, so
shooting. and
so
not.
there's that, right? Now the lethal injection, it's like, okay, let me preface it by saying this. They say it's akin to euthanizing an animal.
So like you're getting put to sleep.
Right.
Except by the time you shut your eyes, your heart is slowing down so fast.
So
it
they
just pauses.
so they give you some medicine to relax you, supposed to stop any pain in that. Now, let's be honest. There have been botched executions due to that. So I pulled up some data for the last 2 years because I love data. Data and me are fun. Have fun together. Again, this is from deathpenaltyinfo.org. So they have an interactive table where you can look at all the past executions.
That's exciting.
You can filter by state and by how it happened, da 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 da. Anyway,
Paul's too excited about this.
hey, you're the one. You know what? When there's data involved, yes. So this is for 2017, 2018, okay? Of all, there were 48 executions across the U.S. during this time, okay? All but 2 were lethal injection.
Okay.
The 2 that were not were electrocution.
Mm.
Those were both in Tennessee.
Two.
Still using the electric chair?
See,
Yeah.
this makes me think of that movie, The Green Mile. I don't know
Yeah.
if any of you, well, I don't know, maybe no.
Mhm.
Okay, you've seen
Mhm.
it. But yeah, I don't know. I just think of the one guy that the big dude.
Yeah.
The guy that's like the, I guess, miracle worker guy.
Yeah.
Can't remember. is it John?
I don't
know.
remember his name of it.
But I always remember feeling so bad for him because that crooked guy in the jail didn't wet the sponge and watched him literally fry.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's sickening.
Yep.
But I was looking, it was showing like estimated time for the various execution methods.
Yep.
Guillotine, less than a minute. Firing squad, less than a minute. Electric chair, 2 to 15 plus minutes.
Oh,
Hanging, 4 to 11 minutes. Gas chamber, 10 to 18. I wonder, this is a huge gap, but lethal injection was 5 minutes to 2 hours.
probably depending on how big the guy
Ooh.
is.
That's a huge gap. But, I'd rather just have a bullet.
50 cal.
So
You don't have to, you could do a 45 and that'll do enough damage. Just make
Got to
it
make sure you hit.
okay, this is
We're
they haven't done,
awful.
but they haven't done gunshot based
No,
execution forever. So
Yeah.
again, from Death Penalty Information Center. Okay.
Yeah.
They actually have, because Josh was going back to like botched executions. They actually have a page of botched executions. And they have stories of some of these botched executions, just some. But I find what's interesting is the botched execution rate. So for firing squad, since 1890, there have only been 34 executions through firing squad since 1890.
There's only been what?
34.
Wow.
Of those that were botched, 0.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but it's small sample size, okay?
Yeah.
Lethal injection. 1,054 people have been executed since 1890.
That's a long time.
Of those, only 75 were botched. Okay?
It's not too bad.
Lethal gas, 593, 32 botched. Electrocution, 4,374, 84 botched.
Oh, that's it?
Hanging, 2,721, 85 botched. In total, 8,776 executed through the various methods, 276 botched, around 3.15%.
That's not as bad as I guess I expected.
You know, and when they say like the lethal injection botching, typically what that is they're not able to find a vein. It's not that the drug doesn't get into them and doesn't kill them. It's that they can't find a vein. So the person might have like 12 holes in their arm, have you ever been to
Yes.
like you specifically,
Yeah.
because you're in the hospital after your accident,
Yeah.
if they couldn't find a vein, how they're trying all these different areas and they might like blow out a
Yeah.
vein. That's what happened to them,
That's not that bad.
That-
Say the worst. I remember the worst one I had was on the top of my foot when they started digging around trying to find the vein, and then they couldn't. This one person, I think you're given like 3 tries, and then if you can't do it, somebody new comes in.
Yeah.
So then this big dude comes in and just kind of like I don't know, holds my foot in place and just like got something. But yeah, I mean, if that's all that is, then that's not, I guess,
Yeah.
that bad.
Those are the botched ones, and then they give some examples of what they call more egregious death ones. So, and to be fair, some of this sounds horrible. So in this case, Ronald Burt Smith Jr. died by lethal injection in Alabama, December 8th, 2016. Smith heaved, gasped, and coughed while struggling for breath for 13 minutes after lethal drugs were administered, and death was pronounced 34 minutes after the execution began. So, in that case, someone messed up. They needed to have made sure to give them the correct drugs to not have that happen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, I always wonder if like people did any of that stuff on purpose to watch him suffer. Which, going back to the Green Mile, doing something like that's disturbing.
And then you also have jurors who can recommend a death sentence for people.
Yeah.
And according to a 2014 study, jurors in Washington state are 3 times more likely to recommend a death sentence for a black defendant than for a white defendant in a similar case. So then where's the fairness in that if they're
Well,
able to?
Uh oh.
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. I was like, what did you find?
As I say, You have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking from death penalty info?
Yes.
Okay. Well, no, I was just wondering because if you look up a little bit, race of defendants executed: 55.8% white, 8.5% Hispanic, 34.2% black, 1.6% other. So over 55% of those executed are white.
White.
Race of victims in death penalty cases: 76% white, which is interesting.
Wow.
That it's that.
Hi.
Yeah. Now they do point out, okay, in their graph here, persons executed for interracial murders. A white defendant, so Aaron, goes into a barbecue place and kills a black person. Okay, only 21 of those people were executed. White killing black. But black killing white, they do point out, 290.
There's more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So then that's also where the death penalty can be deemed unfair for committing the same crime, just getting the worser punishment. All because of what? Color of your skin?
Your race. Well, never mind.
No, say it.
Nope.
No, say it.
Oh, it just had something to do with what Josh said earlier.
Oh, okay.
But it has nothing to do with this conversation.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and and the Supreme Court has been putting into place some protections, for those who have a mental case. So in 2002, the Supreme Court held that it is unconstitutional to execute defendants with mental retardation. Their words.
Yeah, I remember when I guess it seemed like there's more mass killings going on, and people are always saying, "Oh, well, they're mentally disturbed," but that almost seemed to be the case for every big killing that was starting to happen. So it's like, okay, when are you using this as an excuse, or when is this legitimate?
Right.
The ultimate cost to taxpayers for 30 years of the death penalty in Maryland was $186 million, resulting in 5 executions.
Wow.
Hang on.
I'm hanging on.
California, which is the largest death row in the country, has spent over $4
Billion?
$4 billion on the death penalty since 1978, while carrying out just 13 executions.
Wow. That's a lot.
Josh likes his numbers as well, apparently.
In a national survey, the U.S. Police chiefs ranked death penalty last in their priorities for effective crime reduction. Makes sense. I mean, if you're just worried about killing somebody off versus worrying about, how can we change them? How can we understand how their mind works, that they're wired this way to prevent or to help other people from getting as far as they did? It makes total sense.
Let me ask this, Josh, because I have a feeling I already know the answer, but I think you kind of started going down this route before, and I want to know if this is what you're really thinking. Are you saying, and I'm saying this just to be clear from my side here, that I'm going to generalize a little bit, okay? In general, everyone on death row, they're there, we know, because they killed someone, or more than likely. You normally don't get sent to death row for speeding or anything like that. It's usually murder, okay? Typically murder. But are you saying there's some mental component with that as well?
You said it yourself. Most normal people would not take fun in killing. You also look at people like Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff like that. People who float along those lines, they say one of the early tells, okay?
Okay.
One of the early tells is watching how the child interacts with animals. Usually if the child is abusive and or plays with dead animals, it's not a good sign. You usually need to take care of it right away. Get the kid to a doctor and stuff like that. So if kids are sitting there killing animals and dissecting them as a kid, what creates this intrigue that somebody has with the anatomy of an animal they just murdered versus
You're making a very big assumption here that all these people are serial killers.
No.
Yes, you are. That's a very big assumption that all these people are serial killers.
I used to kill animals as a kid for fun.
Did you?
Well, I also got paid to do it too.
Oh, that's the difference.
Well, I wasn't paid at the beginning. I was just given the option to go shoot a bunch of chippies. So I started shooting chippies. I remember a couple distinct memories of legs flying and other stuff, and then I had to go pick them up and throw them out in the woods.
Right.
But
But I mean, that's
I don't know. That was always a fun part.
what Josh is talking about, though.
yeah, I know
The
what he's going
children
on to.
who take joy in seeing people, animals killed or playing with dead animals. That's sociopaths and serial killer you're talking
Yeah.
about, not necessarily what these people are.
So, are you going to go on with this?
Wait. What? I'm saying one example. Somebody who kills a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
They tend to want to control their victims' lives. Okay, just putting this in a context. Okay, if someone tortures or kills small animals as a kid without showing remorse, that doesn't necessarily. Usually, it's on the torture side. When they usually torture it, then they kill it. Or if you're just going around and your uncle says, "Hey, you got too many of these animals in my yard. Here's 22."
Okay.
And like you were saying before, most normal people don't enjoy killing,
Right.
right?
Right.
So-
Most normal people don't.
What in someone's mind, even a child's mind, why might they enjoy torturing and killing something?
No one said they enjoyed torturing. Where'd you come up with that they enjoy torturing? Torturing is different than killing.
Torturing is bringing it along the lines of death.
No, torturing is me throwing you down into the pit of a well, filling it with water just so it's just below your neck.
Yeah, exactly. Bringing it to almost to the point of death.
Yeah.
To where if
I'm
you
doing
don't empty,
I'm doing it for my fun.
yeah,
These people are either mailing a bomb, so it blows up and kills them instantly, or they're robbing someplace, shooting the people. They're not torturing them.
what I was using the kids as is a premature step towards that route. That's what I was saying with it.
Yeah, but again, what you're talking about is typically what is for serial killers, not
And I'm saying that as one example of
that's
why would somebody.
that's one example, but that's not every example.
No.
Some cases, maybe it's something that was very traumatic that happened to them.
Okay.
And they don't know how to process it.
That's right. That's one thing. That is something with the brain, though.
Okay, let's say you're 16, 17, right, Mr. Brewer?
Uh-huh.
Something very traumatic happens to you. You're at home playing a video game.
Uh-huh.
Someone comes in, shoots all your family, and throws them in front of you and says, "I'll let you live, but you have to watch them burn." Burns them in front of you. That will traumatize you as a teenager.
Yeah.
How do you process that? You don't know how to process that. And then what if you go out and shoot someone? Are you going to say, "Well, it's because so-and-so did this"? And yes, that's going to be part of it, but you can't just blame it all on that either.
No.
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, there's all sorts of circumstances on how these are happening. That's why I was asking, are you saying that everyone who is probably in this situation, death penalty, has some sort of mental defect in that regard?
In certain cases, no.
But yet, Supreme Court has said that if they have mental retardation, it's unconstitutional to execute them.
Which makes sense. Because that is something they cannot control.
Mm-hmm. Which means they would not count as part of these statistics.
Now I'm lost.
Since 2002, at least.
I'm pretty sure you would get counted as a statistic if you were a recommended death sentence. But now the case would then get looked into by the Supreme Court and then dismissed once they saw that there is any sort of mental retardation. I wouldn't be surprised if those people are in statistics. But
Well, they were in statistics up until 2002.
Okay.
That's when it was made illegal by the Supreme Court for anyone with mental retardation to be executed. Period. Doesn't have to be reviewed by Supreme Court.
But what if they don't know that the person has mental retardation prior to that?
You would have figured the defense attorney would have brought it up if there was some, or that's part of the defense attorney's job as well, to bring that sort of stuff up.
What if the person doesn't know that they haven't?
We're not talking mental illness. We're talking mental retardation. Those are two different things. We're not talking depression. We're talking like they physically, their brain does not have the capacity to understand that what their actions taken caused issues. We're not talking about the socially, quote unquote, joked way of saying a retard. We're talking about someone who really does not understand that pulling the trigger results in death of someone. That's what it means by retardation.
No, I understand that, but how can you tell that with everybody?
That's a pretty easy test to pass. I could have a conversation with someone and be able to tell that pretty quickly. Most normal people can.
I've never had a conversation with somebody like that, so I wouldn't know.
What's going on over there,
Oh, I
Johnson?
thought you started looking at me because I was like, "Geez."
No, I heard you
Okay.
making a noise over there, so I was like, "What's going on over there?"
No, I was just reading to see what qualifies as mental retardation.
Okay, and what qualifies?
I just looked it up.
Well,
What
read
is
it.
characterized by below average intelligence or mental ability to lack skills necessary for day-to-day living. There are very varying degrees of intellectual disability from mild to profound, and that I mean that's just the first thing that came up. So I haven't gotten too far into it.
Yeah, but the big thing that comes away with it is someone whose mental capacities are such that they do not understand that action A causes action B. Pulling a gun and shooting someone does not cause them to die.
Which is actually on the mindset for a lot of kids.
Well,
Kids can't comprehend death. But anyways, no, I get what you're saying, yes.
But that's, yeah, there's a lot of kids like that, but that's because they haven't learned it yet. We're talking about an adult who does not have the capacity to understand that no matter how much you tried. A kid eventually, a normal kid, okay? Eventually, you talk it through them, be like, as traumatic as that would be for them to learn that, oh, they just killed someone or something, they'd be able to understand that eventually. Someone that they're talking about here does not have the capacity ever to understand that.
I understand that. But going back to your original question, is everybody on death row, do they have something mentally wrong with them? Maybe not. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was some form to it.
There's going
Like
to be
what person?
there's going to be some that like to kill. Okay?
Yes.
But some maybe are in the wrong place at the wrong time. They did something. I don't know everyone's story. All 48 death executions that happened this past 2 years. I don't know them all. Okay. I mean, it's not like, again, I keep coming back. It's not like we're saying they got a speeding ticket and we threw them in jail to be executed. More likely, they killed one or more people
Or mailed the bomb.
or mailed a bomb,
Or mailed a
which
bomb.
killed one or more people.
Now, why would somebody want to build a bomb to kill somebody?
Well, in the
What
case,
There's a
person
lot of
would-
reasons.
well, in
I
the case
guess.
of this Walter Moody, if you look at who he targeted, it appears he had a little bit of a racism
Ooh,
in him.
not good.
Notice who he targeted. He targeted judges and that sided and worked with representation of black people as well as the NAACP. So in this case, it was for him politically motivated. Okay, that's again. This is just one example of the 48 from the past 2 years. Another guy that I have pulled up here, William Morva. His father passed away. He had no idea what to do. He basically started living in the woods. It says he was always without shoes, ate only raw meat, berries, and pine cones. And, he went and robbed a deli mart. Yeah, I know. And then he was arrested for attempted armed robbery, got out there, and then he took a deputy's gun and shot a police officer, a hospital security guard, and killed a hospital security guard and got death sentence for that.
Wow.
A perfect.
What?
Never mind. Perfect example of how someone did not grow up with a normal life. So obviously there was something going on. Either it's something he couldn't process, or what is the word I'm looking for? A lack of social interacting, an inability to control anger. I mean, there's so many different things that can go into it.
Okay.
Hmm.
So my question for you in that case of that guy was death sentence appropriate for killing a hospital security guard and attempted robbery?
I guess, why did he kill the hospital security guard?
He wanted to get away.
Get away from what?
He attempted robbery.
And he was released.
It said he attempted robbery. Okay. It didn't say he was released. He got arrested. They took him to the hospital and he ended up killing the security guard and getting away. And they had him, do a manhunt. They found him. And does that warrant a death sentence?
You got to know the facts, I guess.
That's your facts.
That's not enough facts.
What
That wouldn't
facts
be
do
enough
you
facts
need?
for me to say. In anger or in any relation to the deputy, I would obviously say, due to making a emotional and a decision, I would say yes, kill him. If I knew the deputy, if I was related to the deputy, yes. Okay, but did the deputy do something? Did the guy feel like he had no other choice?
What-
It wasn't even the deputy he killed. He killed a hospital security guard.
Hospital security guard. Okay. Did the hospital security guard make him feel like he had no other choice? A guy who's lived in the woods, who's eaten raw meat, who's had very little social human interaction.
So you're saying no death penalty.
I don't know this specifics.
This is the specifics you get.
If he sat there walking towards the guy and saying, I'm going to kill you, and the deputy was pinned up against the wall, he grabbed the gun and shot him.
What?
No.
No,
it
I'm not
doesn't
saying
say
that.
any of that.
I'm not saying that was said, but I'm just saying in
It
general
says, after
terms,
using a hospital bathroom, he knocked Deputy Russell Queensberry unconscious using a metal toilet paper container. He took the deputy's gun and shot Derek McFarland, a hospital security guard who was running to the deputy's aid. That's it.
Just sounds like he's trying to get away
Yeah.
and not get in trouble.
Then they did a manhunt. They found him, brought him in, and yeah. Looks like he might have killed one more police officer too during the manhunt's time. So 2 people. Is that worthy of a death sentence, I ask?
here's why I say there's more to it. I wouldn't do that.
That-
You
okay.
wouldn't
Okay,
do what?
now,
You wouldn't
hang
do
on, no,
what?
hang on.
Wait, you wouldn't do what?
Run away. I'm already in trouble. Running away is going to get me more in
Oh.
trouble. Shooting someone is going to get me in serious trouble. Killing someone is going to get me in really big. I understand that there would be more consequences once I have been caught doing something if I tried to get away. Okay? So, what caused this guy to try to get away and potentially
What-
kill another guy?
I mean, what causes anybody from running from the police?
Who wants to be stuck in jail?
Normally, nobody.
Exactly. If you were if Josh was captured, I want to run a scenario by you, Aaron. I want to hear what your thoughts are first on this. Josh is captured by a group. We don't know what this group is. We don't know what their intentions are. Josh is captured, being held, tied up, and he sees an opportunity to get away by knocking out one of the guards and taking their knife. And then he stabs, the other person who's coming to help that guard. Why wouldn't you do that? Wait. If you're being caught, why wouldn't you do that? If you don't want to be restrained by this group.
Well, you're making it sound like there's this group that does not have the authority of the government, which is on a different scenario
No.
here.
But what I'm saying is, you're still restrained. This person's still restrained.
But it's different if it's a group that could possibly torture me or do whatever to me versus the government. Now, the government can obviously torture me too, but if it's like a white supremacist group and I'm a black guy and I don't know what's going on, I just know something's going to happen, that's a different story. That would fall along the lines of more of self-defense. Now, if it's the government, that's a different...
No, but what I'm saying is, regardless of the fact of what group it is, your first inclination is to get away. Regardless.
Okay, I won't argue with that.
Okay, that's exactly what this guy's doing. He wanted to get away. He did not want to be constrained in jail.
So you're telling me...
all
so
he
you're
was
telling
facing,
me...
and all he was facing at that time was attempted armed robbery.
So you're telling me if that was Aaron, you would kill Aaron?
Wait, what?
No, I wouldn't.
Wait,
That's what I'm saying. He's saying if you were this
Guy.
My browser went away. This William Morva, I would not recommend death penalty for him. What he did was wrong. Yes, he tried to escape. In the end, he ended up killing 2 people. Is that worth death penalty? I don't think so. Josh is looking at me with evil eyes.
He totally backed me in a corner. I
I didn't back
Smart.
anyone to
Yeah,
the corner.
you did. Oh,
You
know
backed
you
yourself.
Did. No, you know you did.
You backed yourself into the corner. Now, if this person had gone on a killing spree where he was intentionally going to kill all these people, such as, let's say, a school shooter. where they went and they mowed down kids at a school. Death penalty. But this guy who was trying to get away, probably scared out of his mind. Life in jail, yes. Even though that we can argue for and against that as well, because that's pretty much a death penalty, just a very slow one. You know, why are you shaking your head?
You totally were making me feel like you were saying this guy should have deserved the death penalty.
I don't remember his whole story now.
This one?
Yeah.
This is the
But
guy.
then again- but
this
then-
is the attempted robbery.
No, I know. I'm just like his bringing up again.
Father passed away, and then he went into the woods, lived on raw meat, berries, and pine
How
cones.
old was he when his dad passed away?
I wouldn't say that really would make a huge difference because,
Well, no, it does make a
It would
difference.
make a difference.
oh, it depends on how it happens.
Well,
mean, if
just
you watch
being
your
depending
father-
on how old you are. No, I'm not talking about watching your father die, but just knowledge of what stuff is, depending on when he died and when you went off and ran off and lived on your own in the woods.
He would have been 22.
So you're telling me he'd never had any knowledge of what police are?
Oh no, I'm sure he did.
So when you're being arrested for robbing a place,
Yes, for attempted robbery.
he would know where he's going.
Yeah, and he just wanted to get away. So in the hospital, he took advantage of his surroundings to try to get away.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what he did was right at all. I'm not excusing it. Okay, there needs to be a punishment for the people he killed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not arguing against that. That's 100% yes, needs to happen. But I think it's a little harsh for death penalty for that.
I don't know. I guess it comes down to I wouldn't be, not that I guess I'd want him to. I wouldn't want him to die. But if that's what was decided, which was,
It was decided. Okay,
Yeah.
it happens. The government has the right to decide that.
yeah.
But if I was on the jury, I wouldn't be like, death penalty.
Well, I wouldn't say it like that, but I don't know.
I guess
I might be more. I guess I wouldn't be if he's willing to take away someone's life. He better be willing to give his up.
I'll agree with that. And because to be fair, if you look at the Old Testament, that
Mm-hmm.
it does call for, if you take a life, well, you better be prepared. Now,
Yeah.
that being said, I was reading something interesting yesterday, and one of the things they said is, okay, so for death penalty, it could be done for like prostitution and that, right? Adultery. Well, it's a very common story that we all know in the New Testament where the adulteress is brought before Jesus and he just kind of writes in the ground and says he's without sin, throw the first stone. By the Old Testament law, technically, she should have been executed by a stoning.
Yeah.
And yet Jesus comes and says, no, Now, that being said, what was it? Romans 13:1 through 7.
I was just about.
Yep.
I have that pulled up right now.
Yep, exactly. Paul calls his readers to submit to the authority of civil government. Remind them that if you do wrong, be afraid, for he, the authority, does not bear the sword for nothing. So in other words, the government does have the authority to perform this action.
Yep.
I think just Joshy Boy got stumped.
No. It's just taking it all in. As am I.
no. I mean, I'm still in the same spot, so where I'm not going to recommend death penalty until other chances are given, because in the extreme cases, to where it is no questionable in societies, there's no question, and in society's view, this person deserves the death penalty. Why did they do what they did? It got them to get what they deserve to get.
And not all of them are going to tell you why they did it.
No.
But you can do forced studies to understand their brain. If somebody's gonna run in and shoot up a bunch of people, what's behind that motive? Is it anger? Anger why?
Does that matter?
It can. It can be used to help prevent it in the future.
How's it going to prevent it in the future? That person already committed the act. They've already killed.
But it can
Another-
help prevent someone else from doing it, or be able to better spot it before it happens. We have many cases where our government's known about certain things that could happen, and they don't step in and do anything.
So now we're going to monitor every citizen's every movement and
The
every
government
word
already
and
does
every
that.
action,
The government already
and then
does that.
take action. And basically, what was that movie? The Precogs.
I don't know.
Where basically, if the Precogs saw you do a crime in the future, you were
Oh.
arrested.
Say there's no way that I mean, when you say how the government already watches all of our moves, and there's no way that they can monitor everybody.
No, they don't
in the
have
US.
to. That's what computers are
So
for.
you can't stop.
That's an
everything
exaggerated
from
statement that I
happening.
used. But it is
Yeah.
true. They do have access to any and all information on us if they wanted to at any point in time. Anyways, but no, by saying that we can better prepare for something, so a better way to spot a school shooting is obviously do what they are already doing and trying to figure out the similarities between school shooters. And this is just an example. Trying to find the similarities between the school shooters, trying to find their interactions with the students, trying to see if they can understand the person and their characteristics. By getting a better handle of that and educating the people and educating parents, you have a better chance of catching something like that versus not looking into it, not educating people, and just leaving it alone and letting it be and not trying to understand the person.
I feel like, well, I mean, I could be someone that could just have one extremely bad day one day, and then for whatever reason, if I just snapped and I just go grab a gun, since my life is whatever happens in my life to cause it to go to crap, I'm just gonna go ruin other people's lives, and then end up. I feel like that. I mean, I'm sure there are trends to be on the lookout for stuff, but then I feel like there's those cases where it could just be out of nowhere.
Yeah, there are. And here's where I think this starts traveling down a very dangerous road and precedent. When you're trying to judge a case based on how someone's feeling, that's all very subjective. There's no objectivity there. When you're saying, why did they do it? Were they having a bad day? Very subjective. What reason I may have a bad day is going to be different than why Josh is having a bad day, than why Aaron's having a bad day, than while Aaron's non-existent fourth nephew or niece is having a bad day.
Yeah, this is I don't know why this just came to mind, but like, what if there was somebody that grew up that was sexually abused as a kid or
Right.
whatever, and they just decided to, I guess, target people down that were sexual abusers, and then just start going on a killing spree for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because then we would go, oh, they're doing great work.
They're doing a good service for us.
Again, that's subjective.
Mhm.
You know, objectively, they are breaking the law, they're murdering, and they are killing.
Mhm.
Subjectively, they're killing the people who deserve it. Okay?
That we would see deserve.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying, subjectively.
Yeah.
You know, but objectively, if we look at the facts, I'm sorry, you just killed 130 people. You're a mass
Goodbye.
murdering serial killer. We
Goodbye.
put you in the same category as Dahmer and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. That's a dangerous precedence to start saying, well, why did they do it? Okay, maybe that's going to help us out with some of these other things to maybe preemptive, but if we start doing that, and already the court system is inundated with people trying to use a very emotional reason of why they do something. And that will only compound it even more. Yes, there are legal and great reasons not to execute someone. Someone who doesn't understand their actions are going to cause death, mental retardation. But someone going, I just had a bad day. That is not
Well,
a
that's
good reason.
no, yeah, that's not.
And so
Oh.
by saying, okay, let me ask this, Josh, to you. You say, give them multiple chances. Use this as a last resort. What are these other chances? What is the other resorts that you would have in mind if you've thought about that?
I don't know.
Because if you have this as the last resort, you have to have something else as another resort. We can't just say use this as a last resort without having alternatives.
And this is where I was saying before, I've never committed great acts. I've never been in a spot to where
Do you know where I'm going? Well, I
No.
mean, it doesn't. I mean, you didn't. It's not with you committing a great act, but I'm just trying to think of the one time being chased out of off your property.
Oh, it was unloaded.
But that was, I know that was totally different. But I just always think about that.
Yeah, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
But I have no comprehension of. I have no plans to kill anybody.
Right.
I have no desire to kill anybody.
Okay.
Okay. And I've never been angry enough to grab a weapon and start proceeding towards the thought of killing somebody. So to me, if I killed somebody, it's probably out of fear. It's probably more of an emotional side to it. But going off and killing a bunch of people continuously, that I have no comprehension of. Why would I personally do that? And therefore, that's where I'm saying, give them, more chances. Because if I was put in a spot and the jury says death sentence, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be asking for a second chance.
Well, I mean, anyone who is sentenced to death sentence is going to be like, no, I don't want to die. Give me a second chance.
Some, some won't.
Well, but
Johnson won't.
Nope, I wouldn't.
Anyways, come on.
And this is where I'm coming from on that with giving people second chances, because the most I could think of is I was defending myself, but because of where the law states the rules of engagement through defense lay, I'm actually the murderer in this situation versus the guy trying to kill me. There are cases like that, Aaron. And therefore, the jury, for some reason, feels like I should be sentenced to death. Put me, to me, that's where I could see it being. Okay, for myself. Worst case scenario, I have no desire to go out and hurt somebody. Okay, so for me to be put in that spot and be wanting a second chance, I can't comprehend myself being a serial killer. So why would somebody want to turn around and target and kill, a bunch of people? I don't have that comprehension. So if I'm asking for a second chance on a basic, simple defense case or something like that, if I ended up turning into a serial killer, I probably would be saying, can I get a second chance too? But then again, why would somebody become desensitized to taking a human's life and be able to do it repeatedly?
Well,
I mean,
you're saying repeatedly. This Walter kid,
two, okay, and that's where I'm saying, if I was in his situation, I'd be pleading for not getting the death penalty. So that's where I'm saying, if at that point I'm pleading for not getting the death sentence, and this is all based on me, and I know how my thoughts are. I can't comprehend wanting to kill a bunch of more people. Okay, I can't, and that could be something that I deserve, and not something that the jury has submitted to me. So if I'm sitting there asking for it in a case of two people that I would have killed, okay, if I was Walter, then thinking about myself and not understanding how I could comprehend killing more than two people, okay, on purpose, let's say, and not with an emotional flight or fight response, I would say I'd probably be asking for a second chance, just because I know how I am and I could never see myself in that situation. So that's where I say there is probably some level in some cases, okay, of there not being something quite completely straight in the brain.
But every news article you ever see about, like a mass shooter or whatever, he was such a nice boy. Nothing ever did everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that knowing you would ask for a second chance or whatever, guess what? They're all going to ask for a second chance. Even if they admit it for it, they're going to ask for a second chance.
And that's where I feel like I'm running in circles here.
Me too. I feel like you're running in circles.
I don't know what the second chance would look like.
Well, before we can say this is the last resort, we need to have other options.
So would there be therapy?
Send
Send them into a crazy house, have them studied.
I mean, you could do something like that. You could do something about medical scans, stuff like that.
So now you're going to turn them into a human lab rat.
That's basically what it would be.
So you're going to take away their autonomy and force them to be medical subjects.
Not to the extent that you're bringing it.
Well, I mean, if it's either death or you're going to be our lab rat.
Well,
Which
no,
one are
it
you gonna
wouldn't have-
pick?
It wouldn't have to be that. I mean, like I said, I guess you could try and do therapy stuff with them, but if they're not cooperative about it, there's also that.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of when you were talking about like the reasons for wanting to do it.
Yeah.
There was something that came up in the news. It was a video of kids. Well, now this gets into like religion and stuff like that.
Okay, that's fine.
But it was a video of children apparently chanting, "We will chop off the heads for Allah," being
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
beheading infidels, which would be us.
Well,
But I mean, if kids are being, taught that to grow up to do that, I mean, there's a reason for killing.
I mean, okay, you want to even go back to World War II, Hitler
Yeah.
Youth.
Yeah.
You have that as sort of indoctrination right there. Yes, you can indoctrinate kids all day long, and you're going to get some very well brainwashed murderers.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is terrifying.
Yeah. Oh yes, I agree. And that is an issue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not even going to try to say that's not an issue. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my issue, my thing is that I'm keep coming back to is like, what do we, what's the alternative to death penalty? Is it just literally life in prison without parole? Because that's a slow death penalty.
It is. Yeah.
Because instead of them being able to, they're basically like a little caged animal that gets to, they get to go outside for maybe a few hours a day. But, but other than that,
Yeah.
you're living in a nice little concrete cell in a bunk bed, maybe. Or
See, I wonder if they have, because I mean, I don't know much about prisons or jails or whatever, but like, I remember I got stuck watching these episodes on YouTube of some I don't know place. I think it was in Texas, but it primarily just had to do with people that were drug addicts, alcoholics, and stuff. Like they would cause crimes and
yeah.
or get busted for dealing or something like that, and they'd go to jail or prison, whatever, and they would serve their time in there. But the place itself was, I mean, I had everything to do with the people that were running the place, where they made it more of a friendly environment, and like there's actually like the people in there started developing relationships with each other, and like it was a positive place. But I guess it was like more often than not they would end up, when they were let out, sometimes more often than not they would be seen there again and again and again because they can't get out of their old habits, kind of thing.
Right. And I will admit freely, some of it is social, how we look at them.
Yeah.
You see a convict on a job app. Well,
You're scared.
There's going to be a lot of people who will say, no, I'm not going to give him a job. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That is something that they face.
Mhm.
Those who come out of prison, and that they face that whole thing of, well, this job won't hire me. Or maybe, and going on the more serious side, maybe they did some fairly serious crimes, whether that be financial related, or maybe it was against children or something that limits them what they can do.
Yeah,
Legally they
yeah,
can't,
legally.
do these jobs, because, it put them in a place where they could potentially, siphon money off again or something. Or, if it was like a hacker, they can't use computers for X number of years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if the job that they need to do is all computer based, and then
Kinda
it's gonna be
screwed.
like, well, why am I doing checkout? Oh, great. I get, so it has been getting better. There are now either companies that are making jobs specifically for ex-felons and
is
helping
cool.
them out, or there's places which are trying to pass laws so that way they can't be discriminated against, which I think there needs to be more of. People do deserve that second chance. Now, that being said, if it's like 2 murders, this sounds weird to say. If there's like 2 murders, this is where I'm answering my own question. What's that alternative? Like, and you kind of have to take this on a case by case. In the case where the guy was like scared out of his mind trying to run away, and he killed the 2 people during the manhunt. Well, one while getting away, and then one while manhunt.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, life in prison with possibility of parole, at some point. However they decide that'd be my personal thing if I was on the jury. Okay. Now, if it's someone who goes to a school and bang, 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 shoot up, 6 classrooms full of kids and bathes in their blood, execution, death sentence right away. We're going. If it's someone who tries to rob a store and they end up killing some people, I'm not, again, this is all how much do you believe and all that, but if you can kind of believe that they intentionally did not go into it to kill people, they intentionally went into it to like maybe rob the store of some stuff, I would have a hard time saying in my head, death sentence. Even if they ended up killing a cop, it would be hard for me to say in that case, death sentence. Because it's not like they were going into it to kill people. They're going into it to maybe get some goods to sell because they're lusting after money, which is still wrong. I'm not defending that at all.
No, yeah, I know where you're getting at.
It really comes down to, for me, if they're going into it with the intention of killing people, I'm going to be more inclined if I was on the jury to say, death sentence, execute. But if they're going into it for whatever, and they, due to circumstances, end up killing people, I would probably be more on the side of, more life in jail, even though life in jail is a slow death sentence.
Right. I guess for me, because I guess no matter the situation, I mean, if you get to the point where you do kill somebody, I guess I would say be prepared for the death penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess I would be like, if there's a life taken, be prepared for yours to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah, not necessarily saying that that's where I'd want it to go. Depends on their story, or I don't like stories.
I mean, regardless of the fact, the story is always going to come into play.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is. But I guess it's depending on, especially if they feel bad about it, and they, I guess, have that shame. If I guess it's up to the jury and whatever they decide for them.
Yeah.
But what you get's what you get. But if it doesn't get put to the death penalty, and it's more of a life in prison kind of thing, it would be, I guess it would be cool to have, if there's like, I don't know, some sort of like classes for people just to, I guess, learn, or like more education to a point for stuff.
Like while in prison?
Yeah.
I mean, they can go and study on their own sometimes, depending on how strict the prison is. There's always those stories of people who get like their GEDs in there and all this other stuff.
That's true.
So here's a question for you. I don't know if either of you know this. What is the term? So it's called capital punishment, death sentence, right?
Yeah.
Why is it called capital punishment?
I don't know.
Josh?
Why is it called capital?
Any idea at all?
Because it's something only the capital can approve, make the final yes or no to.
So the term capital, it's literally of the head, derived from the Latin capitalis, from caput or head, is in this context alluded to execution by beheading. So it'd be a beheadable offense, essentially.
Oh, that makes sense.
So capital crimes. So, I keep saying, murder typically, right? Capital crimes, death penalty, murder, mass murder, terrorism, treason, espionage, offenses against the state, such as attempting to overthrow the government, piracy, drug trafficking, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. That is what is punishable via death. Capital punishment.
Yep.
Why don't we just do it like we used to and say behead? Just behead them.
Because they don't do public executions really anymore. I mean, they have
So
journalists come and watch the executions that still happen.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe family, I think, still goes.
Well, yeah, I saw, I can't remember what show it was, but it was showing a execution, and it was just in a small room. Had the guy obviously isolated in another room.
You're right.
hooked up, ready to go. And they gave him, I mean, I don't, that could be the show making something dramatic, but where he had one last word or final remarks.
You're right.
But then in the other room was like family members and then whoever else, I guess. They're watching it. So yeah, it's not really, it's like a public thing. It's a more private thing for the people related to the situation.
And reporters, because I was reading one article where a guy, he was being executed, and he did the double flip off to the reporters as he's being executed while they're injecting him. Like they said he was belligerent up until the end.
Wow.
That's how. Yeah.
So people are just out there to see the world burn.
So
wanted to.
Yeah. So just so you know, they either use 1, 2, or 3 drugs when killing someone.
1, 2, or 3.
Yep. So if they're doing a 3-drug protocol, they use an anesthetic or sedative, then an agent to paralyze them, and then potassium chloride to stop their heart. So,
wow.
That's nothing that's really going to be painful because their heart just stops and they're done.
It's over.
For 1 or 2 drug protocols, it's a lethal dose of an anesthetic or sedative. So you just go into a nice sleep and.
See, the one part of me to be like, that's too nice of a way to put somebody down.
I was waiting
really
for that.
Deserves it.
Well, Tennessee does electrocution.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm surprised you didn't throw at me, Paul,
What's that?
is 9/11.
What about
If we
9/11?
had captured the terrorists, let's say the
What about 9/11? Yeah.
plane missed the buildings and the terrorists survived, what would we
Okay.
do with them?
You know what?
I'm surprised you didn't bring that one up.
Why?
I
That's
guess why
alternate
would-
history.
You're all about scenarios, though.
Yeah, I am about scenarios, but I'm interested in the realistic scenarios, not scenarios where the terrorists win. As in
They
they're
did win that one.
Well, they kind of won that, but they also
Yeah.
died. Not
Well,
when,
yeah,
when I say
that's-
win, they still cause panic
Yeah.
and problems in the U.S., but
Yeah.
they live.
Yeah. Which isn't really necessarily their goal.
Yeah, that's a whole.
It's just to cause
That's a
pain.
whole Guantanamo Bay military. That's a whole other conversation at this point because you're now not talking about a citizen of the U.S. We're talking about, in this case, for all intents and purposes, a citizen of the U.S. who is going to trial and stuff.
Lost their marbles and did something crazy.
Like I said, I wouldn't say all of them
No,
did something
no.
crazy, but
Yeah.
I would definitely say some of them potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe some are scared, some wrong place, wrong time. Sounds weird to say it that way, or they're just trying to do something, they overreact, I would say, maybe. They're trying to steal from a store.
Yeah.
It doesn't go the way they want it to go, and so they end up shooting up the place.
I guess I just wonder. I mean, yeah, I get that, but then if your intent is not to kill anybody, why bring a gun to allow that to be something to happen?
You don't need a gun to kill somebody.
No,
Okay.
well, you don't, but that makes it a heck of a lot easier.
Okay, Johnson,
But it's,
I'm going to break into your house
yeah.
while you're sleeping. I'm going to point my finger at you. Give me your
Well,
money.
Okay. That's not going to scare me.
Okay.
Which, I mean, yeah, because then
But-
there's the intimidation factor
Okay,
that the gun
exactly.
brings.
So if I'm pointing my finger at you, you're going to laugh.
Well, you wouldn't.
If I'm pointing a rifle at you, you're going to be like, maybe he's serious and maybe I'm going to give him the money.
I wouldn't.
Or-
Well, if you were dumb enough to come and point your finger at me and try and rob me, okay, then yes. But you can still come in and rob. Like I was broken into when I was
While you're-
downstairs. They
Lying
might
the
not have
drums.
had guns with them. I still would have been scared to death running across them had they had guns or not.
Right.
Because you don't need a gun to necessarily kill somebody or not kill. Well, you don't need a gun to do that either. But that's not necessarily the only thing that would, I guess, bring intimidation. I mean, you can still put up a fight. I don't know how good of a fighter you are or how strong you are. I remember, this guy didn't need a weapon to cause any insane, damage or lethal damage to this guy.
Right.
So, and I guess that's. I wish when I was broken into, I really wish I did go upstairs because I had a rifle with me at the
Okay.
time, unfortunately, it was not loaded, so it would have been like bluffing. And then if they had
And
something or they wanted to fight me because I had a gun on them,
You better hope you don't fail your bluff check.
I would have been toast.
Mm-hmm.
So, which was freaky because there was several times when I was downstairs,
Yeah.
like as I was playing, like I stopped and I was like, I really need to use the restroom, but I was like, I'll do it later, and just kept going. So I was like, man, I'm glad I never went upstairs because that would have been terrifying. And then my dad yelled at me. He's like, "Who kicked in the door?" It's like, what? Walked upstairs and the door was kicked in, and then yeah, good times.
See, but
Now-
because they didn't kill anyone, they wouldn't have gotten death penalty.
No,
At most, they would have gotten.
which unfortunately
A bunch
they
of
were
years in
never
prison.
found to our knowledge. And
Josh.
then where are our guns at, Josh? You stole 3 guns from us.
And
a
they
ki-
were pretty nice guns, dude.
and
I
a
made a
ki-
good chunk of change on them.
Yeah, you would have. So
Yeah.
that's how you bought the motorcycle. Okay.
Hey, I sold it, got the money, then I had to hide the money for a while.
Uh-huh.
Then I had to reintroduce it back into society, and that's why I bought the motorcycle on the side of Craigslist. You figured me out.
I'm bringing you in.
And what evidence?
This confession.
I'm bluffing.
He failed his bluff check. He rolled a nat 1.
Oh, my
Poor Brewer.
gosh.
So just out of curiosity, because I can look up like the statistics and it, that's in a spreadsheet, right?
Mhm.
Well, I looked this up on a map because maps make a state a little more sense sometimes. Okay. So executions in 2018, only 8 states carried out executions last year.
Well, that's a hard smack.
Yeah, that was. 13 of those executions were in Texas.
Wait, what?
13 of the executions
13.
last year were in Texas. Every other state except Tennessee had 1 or 2.
Wow.
Tennessee had 3.
Texas really just,
Texas just executed.
you don't mess around with Texas.
No, you don't.
Hmm.
And this year so far, there have been 9 executions
Total or in Texas?
total.
Okay.
3 of them have been in Texas.
Okay. Wow.
Of the 9, 6 are white, 3 are black. Again, this is all on deathpenaltyinfo.org/execution-list/-2019. And what I find funny is, or not funny, wow, funny and death sentence do not go together ever. What I find interesting is the years from sentence to execution. The quickest execution from sentence was 17 years. The longest was 34 years.
Wow.
This person was executed at 68. He would have been 34 when he was convicted.
That is wild.
Yeah, so this person was 46, so they would have been, 29?
Yeah.
When they were convicted.
Jeez.
So,
That's quite the delay.
yeah, that happens,
Which,
unfortunately.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't be. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I guess. Would they be able to get a second chance during that time? Probably not.
well,
but-
they would have been able to appeal,
yeah, there is that.
and you can appeal all the way up to Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And the Supreme Court will then say yes or no if they'll take it or whatnot. And obviously, they can still apply for a pardon from the government. They can try to appeal for a pardon from the president. All that stuff. Even just a stay of execution, they would like. Because then that's life in prison. That gives them a chance to either fight their conviction or do something else for that.
Right. Well, if I ever do something where I'm sentenced to the death penalty,
I will gladly say yes,
Thank you.
just to get you to
That's
heaven faster.
Perfect.
I know Paul's looking at me, and I'm not looking at Paul.
So, that wow, okay.
He's okay with it.
If I did something where I deserve the death penalty, just give it to me.
I wouldn't give it to you.
I have a question for each of you.
Oh,
This
no.
just came to my mind.
Great. What?
Let's make first no, this is a question, and this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree with the stance. But here's my question: Can someone, let's say each of us, be pro death penalty for murder, okay,
Okay.
and be pro life?
Oh, I saw that. And I knew that was gonna come up, but I didn't think about it until you mentioned that again. Ugh.
I guess one would say,
I guess, man, if pro-life literally, because whenever I think pro-life, the only thing I think about is abortion.
Right.
That's all I always figured pro-life was for. I never thought about pro-life being for those that have been, sentenced to the death penalty.
Okay.
So I guess if pro-life has to be defined is only pro-life for that has to include no death penalties and no abortion, then I guess I'd say I'm not pro-life.
But doesn't necessarily have to include both.
I guess that depends on how people want it to be defined, because people like to redefine things nowadays.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I would say no, mainly because for me, I've only known a pro-life argument being for abortion. I've never heard a pro-life argument. Well, obviously it's been a thing because it's a question,
Right.
but
Because where that comes from then is, everyone's pro-life. Okay, well, baby's born. Now what? And so the critics are saying you're pro-life up until the point that the baby's born, and then once the baby's born, you just ignore it. That's what a lot of the critics say.
what?
So,
What are you?
so
Okay.
you're pro-life, right? You want the baby born. Once the baby's born, okay, that's nice, cool. Move on, go on with your life. It could be living in a trash bin, whatever. That's what the critics are saying.
What?
Again, this is they it's hyperbole. It's an extreme example of it. They'll show a picture of a kid like living on a soiled mattress covered in flies and feces, and they'll be like,
But you're glad he was born, right?
exactly.
Oh, piss off.
So that's why I said it's this hyperbole. This extreme example. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be the same. And I want to hear Josh's comments before I say my comments, because I don't want to influence either of you two.
Say, yeah, You
I'm
go.
going to be pro-life and against the death penalty.
Okay.
Okay.
Although I'm pretty sure there'll be times where I'll hear cases and hear things, and I'm going to want to go, let them die.
I think I
Let's
hear
say
that from.
that's already happened. So
I think I hear that from him like every week.
Hey,
Yeah.
no. Let's not get the viewers that kind of mindset about me.
Too late.
Too late.
Aaron's still alive, so that says something.
What?
Anything else you want to comment on that, or?
I love you, Aaron.
I don't believe it.
So my thought on that is, here's where I draw the distinction.
Uh-oh.
Pro-life, aka, baby born in that, right? That child has no say in what happens up until they're born.
Well, I mean, they don't really when they are born either.
Yeah,
Right,
for a few years,
Yeah.
it takes them a while.
Yeah.
They're pretty much helpless and dependent on their parents and their caregivers and society as a large to take care of them. People who then are, let's say, 23 and, are out and about on their own and decide to go rob somewhere and end up going on a murder spree as part of it, they are responsible for their actions. So yes, I believe you can be both pro-life and pro-death penalty because of that. One, someone is not able to take any responsibility. The other, they are fully responsible. That's where I'm drawing that distinction there.
Yeah.
Because once you're able to take responsibility for your actions, that's it. And that's why you're able to, in my head, logically, that's why it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's where I am. with
Although the sad thing is we've degraded the thought of human life to the point to where to keep this so-called political thought process of pro-choice, we have taken a baby and we have brought all the way down, and actually farther less than the classification of maggot. I've seen people
what?
hold up posters saying it's just a maggot. It has no choice.
Oh, it's like, where's
And I'm just saying,
I was
it's
wondering.
sad that we have called ourselves such little things just to be able to make a yes or no choice.
Yeah, I would. I mean, gosh, this isn't really supposed to go into a abortion topic.
That'll be in another week.
Yeah, but I mean, when you say that, because there was, I saw someone share a photo on Facebook where it showed a picture of a slave being beaten by its owner and saying this isn't a person, it's just a slave. And then there was another one for Hitler and the Jewish community where it's, it's not a real person, it's just a Jew. And then it did the same thing for a baby. It's just saying it's not a life. It's not considered a life. So I mean, it's not like it's the babies or a baby forming in the womb is not being looked at as it's not new to where people don't consider someone or consider a life a life.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah,
that's not a new thing. It's horrible and it's sad, but babies aren't. I mean, I've seen them called parasites and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and so just any life in general being looked down upon or not being considered a life is infuriating. If I
Yep.
can't even say that, but I think that's
infuriating.
infuriating.
Yeah. See, use your words, Jensen.
Thank you.
But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
So
And it really comes down to, can they make choices on their own? A baby can't.
nope, it's
You
very
know,
much dependent.
The first time that I ever see a baby put on trial for murder and then sentenced to death sentence will be a weird day in America.
Oh gosh. See, and I feel like that could happen. I'm honestly.
Oh yeah, I know.
It'll be one of those cases where the mother dies during childbirth, and then someone will blame the baby.
But anyways,
I hope that's just a crazy thought in my mind. But
no, unfortunately not. Probably. But anyways, that kind of went off topic there for a
that
second.
did.
Johnson, any final thoughts on death sentence that you may want to express?
I don't know. Other than the fact that it's a really terrible, sad thing, but I mean, not completely against it, I guess, in certain cases. So if it's allowed, if it's decided, if that's what's ruled, then that's what the person gets. Unfortunately,
Brewer?
sucks, but
Yeah.
that's how it is.
I
I
got
agree.
nothing else to add.
Nothing else to add?
Mm-mm.
So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, are you pro death sentence, in some cases, or anti-death sentence
Dun, dun, dun.
In some cases.
in some cases?
But that's where my first initial decision is anti, until looking at it further, seeing more facts.
Well, I mean, if you're on a jury deciding this, man, you're gonna have all the facts you can have. They're not
Yeah.
they can't invent all facts for you.
No, but my go-to answer is anti. But in some cases, I'd be for it.
Yeah.
All right. And I guess that leaves me. Where it comes down to for me again is if we can determine that the motive was that we're going into it with the intention to kill, I'm going to be far more likely to say give him the electric chair or give
Toodaloo.
him the needle or drop him off a cliff or have
Oh,
him,
wow.
have him live in Aaron's basement or something like that. You
It's
know.
a pretty comfortable life down there.
But they can never leave the basement.
That'd get depressing real
Mm.
fast.
Yeah.
What?
There's a magical force
They're good.
field keeping them contained just to your basement.
So they might
Even during your drum practices.
I mean, they'll have some good access to depressants if they want it.
Those would have to be court removed
Oh,
to
okay.
upstairs.
Ooh.
So you could get to them, but they couldn't. If you guys got nothing else to say, all I got left to say then is Reviews on iTunes really do help.
iTunes.
Comments on Facebook. Apparently, we've had a little bit more activity on Facebook this past week after our little topic on should government,
Regulate.
kind of regulate social media or not. Seems a lot of you are, well, definitely on the side of no. So if there are some of you out there who are like, yeah, government should, chime in there.
Don't be afraid to speak out.
And-
but I'm sorry if people are stupid.
Well, no, that's what I was going to say. If you are on the side of government shouldn't, and you see someone who does post into the government should, don't do personal attacks. Talk about the facts, not hyperbole.
And don't just be.
If
calling
you're a
out
troll,
names.
if you're a troll, I will remove that comment. I am all for conversation, but I'm not the government and I'm not a private corporation, and I will censor it.
Whoa.
I will only censor the trolls because trolling does nothing for anyone.
Nope.
I will say that right now.
Nope.
Conversation, though, where you talk about the facts, even if it gets a little bit heated, is still good. And that's fine. Agree, disagree, battled out with facts. That's great. As soon as it starts getting personal, that's when me or Aaron will step in. But outside of that,
Bye.
we'll let it play out as however it ends up being. So, yeah, visit us on iTunes, visit us on Google Podcast,
Spoofy.
Google Play Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher,
Facebook.
yep,
Website.
uywords.com. Yep.
Email.
pod.me/words.
Mm.
That has a link to basically everywhere, which is nice as well. Castbox and all those other places as well.
Castbox.
So,
Email.
yep,
Email.
uywords@gmail.com.
Yes.
Why were you just sitting there saying email? And so that's where we're at. This week, I think we're going to just call it now at this point, but let us know what you think about death sentence.
Ooh.
And maybe next week, we need to talk about this, but maybe next week we'll talk about the fun of euthanasia. Not youth in Asia, but euthanasia, a.k.a. killing Granny.
Oh. Well, not
Wait.
just
See,
Granny.
that's what I'm saying. Where did you get the killing granny part?
That's euthanasia.
But isn't
No,
that
it's
just
not.
about anybody?
It could be anyone, but,
yeah,
but it's usually typically for older people
Yeah.
who are past their prime.
Or
That's
anybody
or
with
sick.
a terminally ill
Yeah.
illness or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Let me just say the other way to make people go euthanasia, euthanizing someone.
Yeah. No.
No?
Same thing.
I know, but when you say euthanasia, people are more known to hearing the word euthanizing an animal. You euthanize it. Euthanasia can easily be thought with youth in
Kids in
Asia.
Asia.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Euthanize. People are more, they know that word more. Anyways,